Have you ever felt overwhelmed by the idea of designing something totally from scratch? Maybe you heard about Canva but you don't know where to start. This is the video for you. Welcome to the comprehensive guide of how you can get started with Canva. In this video, I'm going to walk you through a full tutorial how you can get started with Canva step by step. So if you've never built a design to Canva before or never used Canva before, the whole process might seem a little bit daunting. But don't worry, this video will simplify absolutely everything for you, making it easier to follow along and create amazing designs. Now, typically tutorials like this can cost hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, but today we're getting the complete course for free right here into YouTube. We're not selling you absolutely anything. We'll cover everything you needed to know about Canva and how to effectively use all the features that are now into the 2024. From setting up your account to mastering the advanced tools, you have everything you needed by the end of this video. For your convenience, I have listed a list of steps down here into the description. You want to check that out. Now, without further ado, let's just start creating a design using Canva.
Alright, so as you can see, we are now inside my actual Canva account. So let's cover the basics from setting up your account to creating stunning designs. Stick around here, let's see how we can get started. The very first thing I wanted to do, of course, is to talk about Canva. Now, Canva is a graphic design platform that allows you to create social media. We have graphics, there's presentations, we can create posters and other visual content. Now, it offers both free and paid version with additional features. So we can check out the different plans and pricing. We have the free plan, there's a pro plan, there's a team plan, and there's an enterprise plan. For this tutorial, I'm going to be using a pro plan. So everybody can have a free plan, of course. But if you wanted to check out the pro version, I'm going to leave you the link down below in the description so you can try out the pro version for the next 30 days totally for free. And then later on, you can figure out if you like the pro, if this one is relevant for you, or you can just downgrade directly for the free version at no extra cost. So you can check out the compare the pricing and then later on figure out if this one is for you or not. Now, to start using the Canva, what you want to do is to head over to canva.com and start creating your account. Now, if you have clicked into the link down below, automatically it's going to be asking you to get started totally for free. So I'm going to try to open an incognito window and I'm going to go directly here into canva.com. If you clicked down below, you might be seeing something like this. It's going to be asking you to accept the 30-day trial and choose to continue with a Google account, with Facebook account, with an email, or just continue with another way. So once you enter your email as well as a passcode, you now be ready to get started here into Canva. So my actual Canva account is now been created and you might be seeing that we are now inside the dashboard. So let's explore the dashboard. Once you're signed in, let's see what we actually have in this dashboard. So this is your main hub where you can access all your designs, the templates and the tools. So just a quick tour speaking about the understanding of the background of the dashboard. On the left side, you have your main navigation panel with options. You can see you have the home section. There's now the new Magic Studio. The Magic Studio is some new implementation powered with artificial intelligence that you can do a lot of stuff here into the Magic Studio. For example, you can try to create designs into life just to make it move with motion. What you can do is to make editings, for example, on styles. You can make any image editable, just like selecting a magic graph. You can expand an image, and there's a lot of applications to discover into the marketplace. Now the marketplace are, let's say, applications that can be helping you to better understand what is your design, and then later on you can use it in advance for it. So into the left part we have the projects. Now into the project, what you can do is to organize all your designs that you have created. So for example, every design that you have created should be organized into projects. What I love to do inside the section of projects is that I can go here into folders and I can just organize all my folders into a specific section. For example, if you have projects speaking about the social media of yourself, you can just create one folder, and you can create another folder for, I don't know, Shopify, another for Redbubble, whatever. So try to be as organized as you possibly can. So it's going to be much more faster for you to see, to locate where actually your specific designs, images, videos, anything you wanted to get started here into Canva. Now we have the templates. Now the templates is a section where you can just choose presentations, social media, videos, print products, and so much more. Usually what we do here into the templates is that we actually just select one template that we want to use for our design. Assuming, for example, that I wanted to create a YouTube video introduction, into the upper side it says search 1000 templates. Just type the elements would you like to see. For example, let's go for YouTube intro. I go for enter, and you can see that inside here we have a lot of templates that we can use for our YouTube video. So what I just need to do is to select one template so I can edit it at the moment. Now inside here, let's go a little bit back. I'm going to show you the rest of the elements. I'm going to go back to home. We have the brunt. Now the brunt is an element that is only available for the Canva Pro elements. The brunt is a section where you can just create different brunt ingredients across these lines. So if I create my very first brand cat, what I can do is to add a specific text, a specific font, a specific colors. All of this can be implemented into the template that I choose, so I don't have to look out for my logo or my branding text or the same font that I used each time that I created something specific for that section of the brand kits. We do have the brand template, where you can just create these designs and brand it with and save the records this template for your logos, colors, fonts, and all of that. This is going to be really useful if you're going to be creating a lot of designs with your specific brand, so on and on. Now here into applications, as I just told you, we can see that there is a lot of elements that we can use to, let's say, make better stuff. So we can of course use Speed Painter, for example, turn images into animated sketches with artificial intelligence. We can use font frames, we can use depth and dimensions to a specific text, and so on and on and on. So to better understand how we can get started using Canva, now that you know a little bit about the dashboard, let's create our very first design. So to get started, first of all, you want to choose a template, or you can start totally from scratch. So we can start totally from scratch by focusing to the upper side that says create a design. So I'm going to click in it, and we can see that we have the suggested element. So here into the suggested, what you can do is to choose a specific crafting method would you like to get started, or if you are too manual and you know exactly what you're looking for, your own dimensions and whatever, then choose the option that says custom size. So if you already know what you're actually doing, just type your custom units. In my case, I'm going to go for 1920 by 1080, and you can measure this into pixels, into centimeters, inches, or millimeters. In this case, I'm going to go for pixels, which is much more faster to use. I'm going to create the option that says create a design. This is like the easiest method of how you can actually create an actual access to the editor of Canva. Now the other method is to choose a template. Let's go back into the other tab. And instead of going here into the create a design, let's go into search your content in Canva. Let's say, for example, I'm going to be creating an Instagram reel. So I typed Instagram reel, and I go for search for Instagram reel. This one should be taking me into Canva templates that I can use to start an actual reel. For example, let's say that I select this template. If you like what you're seeing, then go for customize this template. This one should be sending us back again into the editor, but this time with the template now created. Now, as you can see, we are now into the editor of Canva. Let's understand a little bit about the editor of Canva. So here into the upper side, we have the elements where you can just edit what you're selecting. Into the left part, we have the design. Into the design, you can check out different template and styles that were applied into your design. Now, if I click here into elements, we can use shapes, graphics, artificial intelligence, image generator, stickers, photos, video, and much more elements that we can use for our design. Back here into text, we can add a heading, subtext, or just the body text. We have, of course, font combinations, so you don't have to edit it manually. If you wanted to use one of those, you are free to use it. Then we have the branding. Here should be apparent all the colors, fonts, brand voicings, and elements that we have just set it up. In this case, we are not going to be focusing a lot in here because we don't want to create our very first brand. This is not that useful if you are just going to be creating different kind of designs here into Canva, right? Now here we have the uploads. Into the uploads, you can see that we can upload images, videos, and audio, and here you can see all the uploads we have done so far. Into draw, you can of course directly have the access of the tools that we can actually use to start drawing inside my project. So this is really useful if you're creating like a presentation and you want to annotate something specific. Inside the project section, you can see that we have these specific folders, design, images, and videos. So we can try to, let's say, organize and let's say try to find this stuff much more faster. Into the applications, we have here this element that we already know about it. We have the background now. The background is the specific color which you like to use to get started with your background, and the magic medium. Now down here, all of these elements should be, of course, like a fast toolbar. In my case, I use a lot, for example, magic media. I use a lot logos. I have a lot of elements here that I use frequently. So the more you use Canva, the more you might be having more recommendations down below the applications. Now, to get started creating my very first design, let's see how we can actually add elements. So let's add some elements to our design. Into the left part that we know already, the panels, we can add text, photos, elements, and more. So here, let's say for example that I add my very first element and I go for shapes. Let's go for see all the shapes. We have all of these shapes that we can use totally for free. If you see that there are more things that comes with this element that says edu or says pro, that means that all of these elements are only available for a pro account or an education account. That's the reason why we actually gave you 30 days for free, so you can try it out all of the elements that Canva has to offer. There are so much more benefits of Canva Pro, so you might want to check that out totally for free. So I'm going to start with an actual circle. And now if I select my circle, you might see that we have nothing in here because it's exactly the same color as the background. So if I select my background, what I can do is to focus into my tools. Now into the tools of what I'm selecting, what I can do is to change my background color. So let's go here for background and I select this landscape. Now we have an actual background. So that means that there's nothing selected here. And I can see that we have our very first element. Now if you select an element, you should see that you might have now different new tools that we can use for our design. So that means that I can flip it. I can add more information, I can edit my color, border style, animation, position, transparency, and locked. So I'm going to start moving my actual shape. In this case is my circle. I'm going to try to make this a little bit more bigger, like this. Then what I'm going to be doing here is to click into the color, and I'm going to click for something different. So you can start by looking around, move around your image and figure out if this one is actually what you're looking for. So in my case, what I'm going to be doing here is to try to change the transparency like this, because this is an actual post and Instagram reel. There we go. Something really easy to get started, right? So I can go back into elements and I can do exactly the same thing or do something alike. For example, I can go try to make this bigger and I have the second image. Now instead of using this color that we have previously used, I can use a new color, for example something more bluey like this, and of course try to change a little bit of transparency. Now that I have here my reel already been started, let's add some text. Now here into text, let's say that this is just like a quiz video, so we can start by adding a heading, subheading, or use a font combination. If I use just one image, one text like this, for example, I can of course press Ctrl and move the actual wheel of my mouse so I can zoom in or zoom out really easy. And what I'm going to be doing here is to just go for a trivia. So I'm going to open a new tab and I'm going to try to get started with ChatGPT. Now ChatGPT is a place which you can use generate images, to generate text, and much more. So let's say for example that I want to create a video and I asked for example for 4 different questions speaking about history. So ancient history trivia, for example, which Asian civilization built the pyramids of Giza? Of course are the Egyptians, but here I have the Aztecs, the Romans, Egyptians, and the Greeks. So obviously the correct answer is the number C. So I can use this information to paste it here into Canva. That's the reason why we actually use ChatGPT a lot. So I'm going to be copying this and I'm going to paste it into my subheading. As you can see, if I selected a different element, I have different types of tools that I can use now. So for example, I now have unlocked this element that says effects. So if I clicked in there, you can see that we have displayed the shadows. We can of course use lifting, outline, glitched, neon, echo, and so much more. So if you don't want to mess around a lot here, you don't want to do this manual, I'm going to delete my text. So I go select somewhere outside my design. I go back into my text and select it. So I can delete the whole text. Now I can go back into text, but instead of choosing a default text, I'm going to choose a combination of a font. For example, let's say this one. So this one looks a little bit much more attractive and much more interesting. If I double clicked, I can try to select all of it and paste my question. So automatically my text should be edited with the same combination that we just chose. So it doesn't look bad. I'm going to try just to make this a little bit much more smaller so it fits into my design. So I'm going to try to just move this a little bit to the right. Which ancient civilization built the pyramid of Giza? So here it is. I'm going to move this like around here. And there we go. Now I can start to changing back again my background, of course. So here I can go into background. And into search background, I can type Giza pyramid, right? Something like this. So I can use this element to use the background. If you don't, you can go back into elements. And here I'm going to scroll down and try to find photos. Into photos, I go for see all. And here I want to look out for Giza pyramid of Giza. Here it is. So here are my images that I can use for this trivia. So if I select it and I scroll it to the right, you can see that automatically it's going to be filled like it so. So there we go, it doesn't look that bad. So what you can do is to double click it so you can try to select and try to change how it actually looks like this, and I go for done. So this shape, if you wanted to, you can just move it like in here, just below your text. Now if you click into the upper side that says position, you can try to change the position of the elements that you're seeing. So for example here, assuming for example that this circle was in front of my text, if I click into position, I go and select this element that says send to the back, and automatically this one goes back into the text. If you want to reposition different elements, the more elements you have, the more you need to position them. So to better understand the position of your design, just click into layers to inside position, go for position and go for layers. And you can see that we have displayed all the layers of our Canva elements. So I can move one above or below depending on what I'm actually trying to look for. Now, I have here this text. What I need to do is to try to change this element so it looks a little bit much more attractive and people might understand a little bit more the text of what they're actually reading. So I'm going to try to change this for something bluey, like it so. And I'm going to select my text and go into effects. Now into effects, we have the lift, so I can change the intensity, or I can look out for example, the outline. The outline can be helping me to make everybody understand a little bit more about my text. For example, I'm going to just leave this like this, and there we go. Now, what I need to do is to add the answers of my design. So let's go back here into text, and I can choose the same design, or can choose something else. So let's say, for example, that I choose this design for the answers. So I'm going to try to make this smaller, and I'm going to go back to ChatGPT so I can copy my text, double click to the text design. In this case, we do have two elements grouped. So if you are with something like this, go for ungrouped, so you can select only one text at a time. So there we go. Here are my answers. So I'm going to try to make this smaller. I resize it like this, and I move it here. Now I'm going to try to change the color of my text for something more darker, so everybody knows what we're actually talking about. So here's my questions, and here are my answers. So if you see this from a, let's say for example like a phone, which is the actual solution, I'm going to try to make this a little bit down here, and it doesn't understand. I don't understand a lot what is the actual text here. So I'm going to try to change the text so everybody knows what I'm actually talking about. So I'm going to try to go here into this section that says font, and you can change the font of the text that you're selecting. In this case, I'm going to choose this one. So I can look out for something more brighter, for example, the white color, but I need something into the background so everybody knows how to read this. So let's go back here into effects, and you can choose from, let's say, this background. So I can go for a roundness, I can change the spread like this, and I can change the transparency. So even what I can do is to try to just do something like that. If you think that you're okay with it, then what we can do is just to leave this as it is and just take a look into what we actually got. Now, since this is an actual post, what we can do is just to go into the upper side and share it. If you think you're ready to go and focus into the upper side that says share. And we have the new section that we can use, how we can actually share this for our actual Canva friends. Before we show this, first of all, I'm going to show you just advanced features. If you wanted to create a specific video, the very important part is that you needed to choose a video template, otherwise you won't see the timeline of edition. So if you see here down, we have an actual pages. If I click on it, you should see that we have the pages section, and we have the duration, so we can change these duration elements. So in my case, let's say for example this one lengths like 10 seconds, and I wanted to create a new design but length 5 seconds, which is the actual answer. So I can add a new page, or I can select this element, go for the 3 dots, and we have displayed this element where we can add a new page, duplicate it, delete it, hide, locked, add a transition, split the page, and much more. Let's go for duplicate the page. Now I can select the page number 3 and just focus into the page number 2. Now this length should be only 5 seconds, let's say a little bit less, and there we go. Now in this side, I'm gonna delete the questions, and I'm gonna just try to add the correct answers. So here I can try to do exactly the same thing, or instead of delete it, let's say that I just double clicked and go here for correct answer, and you can type which is the answer. So in this case it's the Egyptians, as we saw before. So here, go back into C and type the Egyptians. There we go. And I can change the color of my background, of the text, right? So I can go here into effects, we have the background, and if you select the background here, you have the new color. So I can change it for something much more interesting, bluey, whatever. So there we go. Now what I need to do is to animate what actually I'm seeing here. So if I go back into my design number 1, we can see that we have all the elements, but if I select one element, for example this text, you can see that here into the upper side we have animate. So I select animate, we have the basics, the elements, and you can just move your actual mouse so you can check out all the actual designs, pre-designed animations that we can choose for our project. So if you kind of like one of those, then what you want to do is to just go, let's say for example this one actually doesn't look that bad, so I select it, there we go. So we can make this from word, lines, or characters, and I can make this much more faster or slower. In this case I think this one actually looks great so far. Now the answers, I'm gonna go select my answers or a new element, and I go for animate. Now into animate, let's say for example that I go for blur or baseline or tonic or whatever. So I can go for ascent, for example. There we go. And what I'm going to be doing here is to make this animation appears after the question. So if I go for the 3 dots and more, let's go for show timing. So I go for show timing, and you can see that here are the answers. So the answer should be appearing after I see the questions. There we go. So I go back and I go into play. So as you can see, here's the question and here are the answers. So once you've finished checking out all the design of your elements, I'm going to try to change to actually this background because I don't like this a lot. So I can try to look out for a new thickness. Let's say, for example, like this, and I changed a new color. There we go. Looks much more greater. There we go. Now that I have created a really great design, what I need to do now is to add a new section. For example, let's say that I go here, and instead of the text linked all of it, I can try to duplicate this and add a new section of the text that starts here. So when it first happened this, here's a new text. So let's go for ready. There we go. So this text we can try to customize and change the design. Everything that you have designed, of course, should be edited and in a specific and a singular particular way. So for example, if I select this text, it won't affect the other text that we've just created. So for example, here I can look out for a new color or a new effect. For example, instead of ascent, I can look out for blur or fade. So here is my fade and animate in both enter and exit. So my speed should be a little bit much more faster. I can look out for a character or word, and once I finish doing this, I go back and go for play. So here are my answers. Looks great, and here are the question, and here's the correct answer. So now let's go into the second section, second page, and I go once again exactly do the same process. Select my element, select the element that says check out the timing, and go into the upper side that says animate. So here's the correct answer, and there we go. So I can go here, correct answer, there you have it. Now I'm gonna try to add here the transition. If I clicked inside, let's say into this space from one page into another, you should see that we have adding a page or transition. I'm gonna go for add transition, and here you have different elements of how you can actually edit it. So for example, here you have dissolve, here's a slide, here's the line wipe, color wipe, circle wipe, and much more. So we can choose one of it. Let's say for example the flow, and there we go. So once you've finished with all of this, let's go here inside play, and there you have it. Now if you want to show your project, if you think that we already are okay with it, applying filters and designing everything, what you can do is to now show the collaboration. So let's go here into the upper side that says share. Inside share we have the people with access. If you want more people to edit, to let's say customize or add different much more stuff into one project, you can make a collaborator link here. So I can add people from here and show them to them, or I can just use an actual link so they can have access to it. For example, if you're a teacher and you want to share this with your students, just go here into only you can access and change this for anyone with a link. So anyone with a link can view or can comment or can edit. That's totally up to you. So you can go here for can edit, and I copy the link. So anyone who has a Canva account can now access to this project. Now, if you want to download this so you can use this, in my case for social media, just scroll a little bit down and go for download. Inside download, we have the file typed. You can choose from one image, for an SVG, for a video, or a GIF. In our case, let's go for an MP4 video. And into quality, if this is for social media, the 1080 is the best solution. You don't need to go for 4K because this one is going to be really large and useless, because actually it's going to be making the downsize resolution when you save this directly into your phone. So in here it's going to be asking you what are the pages would you like to save. In our case it should be the 2 of them. Once you have selected elements, we can save this for the future download settings and go for download. And there we go. My very first design of Canva has now successfully been downloaded. Now, if you wanted to check out how it actually looks, I just want to wait a few seconds till my downloading has now been finished and I can preview my design using Canva. Once my video or my design from Canva has now successfully been downloaded, I can focus inside here and check out how it actually looks. So I have now like a preview of how my design actually looks. So as you can see, since this is for Instagram Reels, it doesn't look so bad. Now let's see what are more elements that we can actually use here into Canva. If I focus here with Canva Pro, let's go into Leopard and let's look out here for applications. Into applications, you can look out for something called the Magic Media, or just look up here into the upper side, it says search Canva app and go for Magic Media. Type enter and you can see that here into the upper side we have the Magic Media. This is one of the best tools into the 2024 now that we have access to artificial intelligence using Canva. So you can describe what you'd like to create. So for example, let's say I create a 1080 9020 of a pyramids of Jesus, and then I can go for styles. So we can choose from if this style what you like to see is filmic, if this is a photo, neon, soft focus, minimalistic, and much more elements. So since we already have a photorealistic image, and this is of course a real image, I'm going to try to do something much more friendlier for teenaged. So into the upper side, I'm going to look out for something interesting. Let's say for example here it says dreamy or psychedelic or concept art. So I can go for concept art. Here's my style, and the aspect ratio in my case should be a portrait. So I generate my images. If you have Canva Pro, you are up to 500 generation of images per month, which I think is going to be really great and useful. So now that we have the 4 different images that we can use for our design, you want to choose the one that you liked the most and just click on it. So for example, I think that this one actually looks great, so I can select it and automatically should be imported into my design. So what I just need to do is to just drag and drop and resize the dimensions. So I can change this from here, and now you can see that our design looks much more authentic and original. This is something that we actually loved a lot. Now if you wanted to edit in a specific image, we cannot edit one specific section of the image, but what we can do is to do variations. So variations can be helping you to do something related to what you're actually looking for. So for example here, this image looks great. The one that I liked the most is that one. So I can select these 3 dots and go for generate more like this. So the application is going to be generating new variations based on the image that I have just selected. So I can, let's say for example, get started and let's say get more close to what I'm actually looking for. So based onto this image, now I have these 3 new generated images that I can use. So select which one is better for you and go for continue. In my case, I believe that this one still is the greatest. You can edit your images of course inside Canva. So to edit an image using Canva, I'm going to select the image I would like to edit. Remember that you can see that we have a lot of elements that we can edit, right? So if I focus into edit my image, now I have access to all of these tools that I can use to edit an image. So for example, let's say that I wanted to add a filter. So here into filters, let's go for CO, and you can just select different filters that can be more likely what you're actually looking for. Have Nordic, there's this Candy, you can go for Astro, Rustic, Hazel, Ink, Black and White, Color Pop. So choose the one that best suits for yourself. In my case, I think I'm going to be looking for something like this. We got the intensity. In my case, I think this one actually looks really great. So now that I have just used this element, Let's, in this case, for example, do something different. I wanted to create an effect for this image so the text, let's say, looks a little bit much more engaging than it actually looks so far. So back into filters, let's go back and scroll all the way down and looking for effects. Into effects, we have shadows, duotones, blur, and much more elements that we can use for, let's say, doing great elements for our images. In this case, I'm going to be using the blur. You can blur in a specific section or in an entire actually element. So for example, let's say that I go for the brush size and I can blur, let's assume for example only the background. So I just left my mouse clicked until I filled all of this color until I finished. So once I finished, I can just unselect it and check out the blur effect that appears now in here. Now if you wanted to do this to the whole images, let's go for remove the blur and go for the whole image. And now the intensity, you can just go from something like this, 100, a 50%, whatever. In my case, I'm going to go for something really easily because I want people to understand what we're actually seeing, but I want them to focus more into what they're actually reading. So I'm going to go back and you can see now that the text now it looks much more greater than before. So this is actually how we can actually use these great elements. To maximize and to better do your process, let's say much more faster, what you can do is to understand the shortcuts. For example, the Ctrl+C that can copy and Ctrl+V as an actual void, where you can actually use the copied element where you can paste it and create much more elements. We have the Ctrl+X that you can just cut the stuff. Ctrl+C where you can just undo what you're actually doing, and Ctrl+R that can be helping you to, let's say, reload the page just in case this one has now looked at, for example, doesn't look really well. So now what I want to be doing here is to edit much more elements once I finish it. Now that we have just generated our element here, let's go back into the template that we have just seen here. So as you can see, this is the template that we have just selected before. You have the power to protect your piece, right? So this is something really easy. So if you wanted to use the template to create and generate your own stuff, you can do it. So if you have selected a template, you wanted to delete template and start from scratch, you'd have to close this editor and look out for more templates. You can do it inside the editor. So inside the editor, let's go here into design. And here, let's say, for example, let it go for motivation. So I have more elements that I can use for my video. So if you don't like what you're seeing in here, you can try to replace it with a new one. For example, let's say this one. So I select it and automatically this new template should be replaced with the image that we have just used before. If you didn't want to use this, let's go for Ctrl+C, create a new page and use this page where we can paste the design that we saw here. So now we have two different videos, two motivational videos. The one that we have just started and the second one using the same design elements. So it actually looked really great, right? What I can totally recommend you is that if you want to create, let's say, a lot of reels, a lot of videos like this, you can of course create ones. Let's say, for example, I have 3 different videos. I have generated my images and all of that, and I can focus to the upper side that says show, and into download. Inside selected pages, I go for all the pages, but I go for download pages as separated files. So I can use the different pages like if there were different videos. This one can be really accurate and really great for people who want to generate content and then later on upload it to their socials. Now guys, that you know the basics of how you can get started using Canva, the basic how we can design, how we can create elements, text, uploads, draw projects and applications, let's do something much more advanced. In this case, we're going to be trying to merge our Canva with our socials. Now, if I go directly into my Canva elements, let's say that I go for this design that we have just generated, And here what I need to do is to go for share. And instead of going for download, you have this element that says share into socials. So we can share this with Microsoft Teams, email, MailChimp, and Activity Messenger. If you wanted to, for example, saying this directly to Facebook, to Instagram, or your socials, type into more. Into more, we can see that we have a lot of elements where we can just share our design. So I can go and look out for sharing this directly into my socials. Now, if you want to share this directly into your socials, there's a lot of things that you need to understand, but the most basic one is that we need, of course, to sign up with our actual account so we can use it to share it into our socials. Let's head into Canva.com back, and I'm gonna click here into this settings section. Into the settings section, I can scroll a little bit down and look out for connected social account. I can connect an actual Facebook account, so as you can see here, it is already automatically added. That is how we can actually create an actual new connection between my socials and into Canva. So I wanted to do this so I can use the actual Canva scheduling section. So let's create a new element here inside the Canva editor. And here what I need to do is just to create like a design really quick. The design, for example, let's say this one. And once I added my design here, what I'm going to be doing here is to go for share. And into share, we have now the Instagram and much more socials added here. So we can save this directly into Instagram, into Facebook, Facebook story, and much more. So if I select, for example, Instagram, this one should be redirecting me into how would you like to post to Instagram. Immediately post from the mobile application or schedule your post from a desktop. So this is totally depending on how would you like to get started. And if you are creating a lot of posts and you wanted to schedule them for different times from the day and the week, choose the one that says schedule from the desktop and go ahead and to continue. Now my Instagram business via Facebook account should be connected here. So make sure that you have an Instagram or Facebook business account in order to continue. In this case, I'm going to go for continue. And I just need to sign in directly into my account, so I make sure that I have access directly to published. So I choose my account, and now we are connected directly into Instagram. So into write a caption, let's say for example here, this is just an example. Let's go for listen now, and you can add a hashtag, for example, Adora or Canva, Canva tutorials, whatever, and hit now into published. You can schedule a publish later, but you must have an actual Canva Pro account. So that's the reason why we can actually use the Canva Pro account. We actually use this a lot for scheduling posts directly inside of Canva. Now, other thing that I can show you are the applications. Applications can make your work look so much more greater. For example, here I'm going to go into Discover an AI powered tool. Into the Discover, we have the much elements that we can use. For example, there's an enhancer, magic morph, profile folders, and much more. For example, let's click into the magic morph. The magic morph is going to be helping us to turn our elements of our design into something much more interesting. For example, I go for open. Now the magic morph, for example, let's say that here select an element into our design. So I'm gonna just, since this is an actual example, let's try to duplicate this page. I'm gonna delete this, and I'm gonna just type parameters of Giza or Giza, whatever. Here it is, and I select here my element. Now into the left, we have the element selected, right? So if I scroll here, I go for describe the look. So we can try to change the look of what we're actually selecting. For example, let's say include objects, we can select colors, we can change locations, surroundings, people, whatever. So let's say for example that I choose the word bricks and sandy color, and I go for magic morph. What the magic morph is going to be doing is to use the element that I just told them to morph it with the actual element that I selected. So the style of my text, in my case, I selected something like brick colors, brick texture, and I have now 1, 2, 3, 4 different elements that we can choose. For example, here it is, my element number 1. So if I make this a little bit much more bigger, you can make the quick comparison of what we have here rather than the other one. So this is how we can actually use this great application. There's so much more elements that we can use for our application, and there's so much more stuff to cover. For example, go back into applications. Into applications, you can type the word logo. Now the logo is a logo maker that can be helping you to create a specific logos, of course, enabled totally for free. Once again, there are a few applications, there are a few elements that are only available if you do have the Canva Pro elements. So I select my application, I go for create, and describe the logo which you like to create. So let's say that I go for add a paste, and here I wanted to create a logo of a lion wearing cool glasses with let's say a tuxedo, and I go for minimalistic style. I wanted to use geometric forms. I wanted to look out for, let's say, bright colors, and there we go. So try to be as descriptive as you possibly can so the application can understand what you're actually looking for. If you wanted to type the word of your branding, I don't recommend this, because what you're actually looking for is just a description of the actual logo, not about your branding. So this one just going to be taking a few seconds. This is not the best application so far, but this one can help you a lot if you're just getting started creating elements with artificial intelligence. Now that you have generated here the logo maker, automatically it will be imported into my design page that we generated with Canva. So just wait a few seconds here, and as you can see, here is my logo. So this one actually doesn't look that bad. If I will be using this to just get started and sell elements, I can use this, of course. So what I can do is to go back into elements or focus into edit my images. Now into edit images, there's something really awesome called the magic eraser. Now the magic eraser can be helping you to delete the background or to just select a specific section which you don't want to see. So let's say, for example, that I'm copying this and I paste it here. This image, I'm gonna delete the background. So you go for edit the image. I look out for the option that says magic graft or remove the background. In my case, I'm gonna go for magic graft, and here's gonna be asking you to choose the elements to graft. In my case, automatically has detected that this is the whole section I would like to graft. So with that being said, I just click in it. I make sure that I have selected all of the elements that I want to graft from the image or my design, and let's go for graft. Automatically the application is going to be choosing all of the actual elements selected, so we can actually just grab the elements inside the image. So I now have this images, let's say, separated from the background, so I no longer need the background, and I have selected here my design. So this is going to be really amazing for people who want to get started with their brand. So now my design has my branding into the upper side, and I can just drag and drop. There we go. So as you can see, it looks really awesome. Now something else that we can do inside one image is edited is the actual expanding of one image. So to better understand this, I'm going to try to make this a little bit much more smaller. Let's say like this. I delete the background, and I'm going to just leave this like this and a little bit much more bigger. There we go. So assuming, for example, that I have this image, but I wanted to make this filled into the whole image, into the whole design without having to redrag and change the dimensions, I'm going to be using something called the magic expand. But first of all, I'm going to try to change the blur element. So as you can see, here it is. So I delete the blur. Now I can focus into edit images, and go for a magic expand. What's going to happen here is that the artificial intelligence is going to be expanding the images of the specific section you selected. For example, let's say that I wanted to expand my image into left and right only, or into the whole page. You can select it here, it says whole page. So I can go for cancel, and I go for edit my image, and I do exactly the same process. Whole page, and I have the magic expand. Just as the generation of the images, this one should be showing you 4 different expanding options that we can choose for our custom images. So be patient, because this actual application is under construction yet. So if you used images with faces, hands, or transparent background, this might not work well as expecting and expanding, so you might want to take that in mind. So as you can see, we have 4 different results. So here's result number 1, result number 2. I don't know what exactly is this, but here into the left and the right side doesn't look that bad. We have the image generation number 4. This one looks a little bit more like a poster, and the number 3 or the number 4. So as you can see, I believe like the best one that we got here is the top one, the third option. So I'm going to try to go here for the 3 dots and generate any results. So generate more results to get more different elements and more ideas of how I can actually get started using the Canva applications. Now, if you focused here, let's say that I want to organize much more stuff. So to organize much more elements into my image, into my designs, what we can do is to focus down here in this bar. So if I click here, we have the pages where you can locate all the pages edited. This is the duration view. If I change this from notes, we can add notes to my design. So for example, I go for my image number 1, and the page number 1, I can change the title. So for example, let's go for question section and add notes to my design. We can add the notes, for example, let's say that which ancient civilization built the pyramids of Giza or Giza. And I have the answers. The C is the correct answer. Really important to add it up. Now, when I change this from a new page, I can see that we have the notes added here. This is going to be really important for people who wanted to show this to your, let's say, your team workers or somebody who want to collaborate with your work. Now, as you can see, here's the actual design that we have generated. If by any issues you don't see the magic elements that we could just describe it, just go back into the edit the images, go back into the magic expand, and automatically you should see that we have the expanded of the image there. Now what I'm going to be doing here is to select my image and try to redirect as we actually have to fill the image automatically, which in this case it actually looks really well. There we go. Now if I wanted to do something different, for example, I'm going to select here the grid view so I can try to check out how it actually we can organize our project and our elements into Canva. So if I wanted to see this into the first element of my page, I can just drag and drop like this. And I just go and do something like this, and automatically you can see that the filling doesn't look that bad. If I go for the Ctrl+P or just go and select this element, automatically can see like the full view of what we're actually going to be seeing, which is the presentation of my video. In this case, we can go and look out for much more elements. For example, instead of a video, it can be a presentation, it can be an image, it can be much more. So I'm going to try to exit here, exit the full screen, and let's go back into open the menu and go into home. Now I wanted to organize this project into a new folder. The next time I wanted to enter this folder, I wanted to see it into a specific organization element. So we can see that we have the organization of one image. I'm going to try to go back directly into my teams since we're going to be actually at them. I'm going to close this, and here's my recent design. So to organize this much more better, I'm going to select this image, these 3 dots, and we can add different tags if we wanted to. I'm gonna go here into add the subheading, and let's say they go for trivia, ancient, or let's go for Geisa. There we go. Now 3 dots once again, and I moved to a folder. Now if I wanted to move this into a specific folder, just select it or create a new one. For example, here into new folder name, let's go for Instagram Reels and move this into this specific folder. Now as you can see, we have the tag of Instagram Reels. So if I go back into projects, we can see that inside project we can go into folders, and into folders now I see the new folder that we just created, which it would be Instagram files. Now if you don't see the folder, we can just try to reload the page so we can see the new folder added into my folder category. So let's go back here into folders. I still haven't seen it yet, so I can go inside Instagram Reels, and here's my folder. So as you can see, here are my projects, and says Instagram Reel, and here are the reels that we just generated. We can edit the actual banner of the Instagram Reel folder if you wanted to into the 3 dots. We can just rename this, turn this into a lesson, or change the banner. Creating Canva, we can of course add a fold banner and create this folder using the Canva. Now Canva can help you to generate much more branding elements, and we do have the version of the desktop. Now the desktop can be helping you to do much more elements, and of course save a lot of time. If you wanted to edit large videos and large files, the best solution for you is to download the Canva application. To download the Canva application, you can see that here I can focus into open the applications. Or if you go back into canva.com, you're still seeing this element that says open the application. So if I open this directly into the application, it's going to be prompting you to open the app into your computer. If you don't have the application, it should be automatically sending you into the download section so you can download the application. And you might be seeing that actually it looks a little bit different when you are using the application. So I'm going to go here for tapping into English, logged in through the browser. I just needed to grant the access. I go for continue, and just like that, I am now inside the application of Canva, but using the app, not doing this directly inside the browser. So I select my account, I go for continue, and we are now inside the Canva. So let's say yes, continue to the Canva app, always allow, and open. So finish logged in, and I can go back, and you can see that we are inside Canva. So the Canva application has exactly the same things, the same tools, but it looks a little bit different. If you think that this one actually has more elements, well, it doesn't, but it has more stability when it comes to designing much more stuff. So you can see they have the main menu, Magic Studio, projects, templates that we saw it before, the customization, and much more. What you don't have here is the upper step where you can learn much more about Canva. So what exactly are the things that is not available in here? I'm going to close this. I'm going to show it to you into the browser. So here we have much more elements that can help you to learn into Canva. So you now know how to use Canva, but there are more elements that you can discover on your own. For example, there's the design spotlights. You can check out elements about visual documents, photos and video, printing, marketing, and much more. We can use these elements to better understand what we're actually looking for. Now the business tools are business section that can help you to, for example, create, organize your work in one solution, understand a little bit more about Canva teams, contact sales, so can help you with your business. There are more business solutions, for example, speaking about marketing, creatives, agencies, communication, real estate, and much more. Into use cases, you can check out the use cases from team collaborators, content creator, visual communication, brainstorming, and so much more. So it's going to be sending you directly into the Canva teams to understand how they actually use it, create better elements to Canva teams, and so much more. Now this education is one of my favorite elements into Canva because everything we know about Canva, we have learned it through the application. So this is a really great app. So inside education, we have the teachers in school, we have students, teaching resources, LMS integrations, case studies, and higher education. So these elements actually are really great for people who wanted to learn on their own. And you can select, for example, let's go for integrate Canva with your learning management systems, higher educating, teaching resources, and you can just use it to check out what are the education elements. For example, I can go for integrate Canva with your LMS. We can have popular integrations into Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams, and so much more elements. And lastly, let's go back. You do have the plans and price that we have just checked out before, and the learn here section. Into the learn section, there are a few articles, resources, tutorials, courses, the expert trending, events, and so much more elements that can help you to, let's say, understand the application a little bit more. This is how we actually know all the actual tools that Canva has to offer now into the 2024, and even to the 2025 is going to be giving us a lot of design elements that of course can help us into the future, guys. So now that we have understand how to use the Canva dashboard, we now understand how to learn more into Canva. We now know all the basic about how to use Canva. We know how to edit your designs into Canva, how we can actually create projects, managing templates, using one of the best application in artificial intelligence, and so much more elements to use in Canva, guys. So there you have it, guys. This is a really easy tutorial. This is a really just basic full tutorial of how we can actually use Canva for beginners. We have now covered everything from the setting up your account to creating stunning designs and sharing them. So I hope you find this guide helpful, guys. Feel more confident in using more Canva. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to TechSpress for more tutorials and tips. Don't forget to hit the notification bells, guys, so you never miss an update. And just in case you have any question or suggestion for the future videos, you can leave it them into the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Hopefully we can also see you to a brand new videos of our tutorials here into YouTube. So happy designing, guys. Hopefully we can also see you on a brand new section of TechSpress, guys. See you next time.